Everybody, happy Thursday. Hope you're doing well. Uh, I wanted to address a question that came in on Michael Martin Show, episode number 25, how to win more consistently. It looks to me that if most people ask for trading advice, they're really asking for happiness advice. Would you say to have found fulfillment in your career as a trader, right? Then there's some punctuation stuff here. The process itself, things like developing a trading plan routine, the execution preparation, the ever changing markets, and adaptation to it. I'm currently asking myself if it's really worth it, especially under the pressure of not making any money, even after years. It's very frustrating and hard to cope with, but I know there are only two choices, giving up or keep on trying. Yeah, I mean, welcome to my world, right? Because every day that you wake up, the market has evolved. I have evolved. So you have two independent entities, the markets, right, which could be, you could interpret markets to be anything. There's a market for an Nvidia, there's a market for corn, then there's just the markets at large, right? When people say the markets, I think that's what they're referring to. But, because I do know people that just make a living trading a handful of things, or one or two instruments. I shouldn't say this, but I'm gonna. If you're trying to day trade like any of the mini or the micro stock index futures, you should probably move away for that and expand. It's the best way if you're struggling and not making any money doing it to kind of immediately improve. You could also consider increasing your hold, trading smaller and increasing your holding period. There's some psychological tricks that you can do as well, which I'll get into at some point. But fulfillment doesn't come from the money. Everyone who doesn't have any money or isn't at a place financially where they are comfortable and want to grow their current income, their net worths, any of that stuff, it's all legitimate. And I don't think it's greed. I think seeking abundance is good. The fulfillment comes from being able to execute a plan every day and sticking to one's discipline. That's what the addiction would be, I guess, if you were going to say that trading is gambling. It's like you want to wake up and be somewhat present. You want to be willing to feel all of your feelings, interpret them, understand them, listen to them, see what they're trying to teach you. And despite your strong feelings that you have in your body, even if you're a purely systematic trader, the goal is to follow your rules every day. That's the process. All you can do is follow the process. You're powerless over the results, which is the P&L part. Most people come and think they can steer their P&L, and they find out the hard way that they can't. And when I let go of that, because when you're starting out, you hear a million different things from a million different people. You don't know which to believe. You don't know who's telling you the truth. And it all might be true at the same time. That's the thing, is that everyone has their own truth. But it might not necessarily mean anything to you because it all comes down to behavior. Behavior predicts where you end up. And if you can't pull it off, if you can't follow the same rules over and over and over again, you're not going to get the results, right? If you're all over the place, as I like to say, you get all over the place kind of results. And that's hard to look back. So when I study like my own behavior, or I'm working with, a client or two here and there, or even like in the mastermind or the group coaching, a person has to learn how to be accountable to him or herself. You see what I mean? And if they don't have good boundaries with their own behavior, it's very hard. That kind of leaks into other areas of their life. I'm not saying it always does, but I haven't seen people who were huge drinkers or overeaters or were chain smokers, who or who people who lacked discipline in other areas of their lives come and make it over the long haul. Everyone can have their moment in the sun, but I haven't seen people who have lasted as long as I have exhibiting that kind of behavior. Because sooner or later, you think the rules don't apply to you, and you start doing that and living those lifestyle choices inside your trading. And a couple of things happen. The luckiest thing that could happen at that point is you blow up, and then you can go find something else to do because you don't have any money left, or you've lost all your confidence. before you kind of blame it on the market or somebody else because the market did you wrong, even though you've been exhibiting reckless behavior for a long period of time. I feel like if you want to develop the right type of mindset, you have to find a process with which you're compatible and be able to stick with that in the face of uncertainty and the fact that trading is deals with probabilistic outcomes. So that takes a certain type of temperament, right? People do stuff they want to see. Okay, if I put tab A, I want to see it fit in slot B, and I need to have that emotional response. But there's so much uncertainty on things. I think people who live and come out of a world of accuracy, especially in student like academia, it's very difficult for them to get used to, at least at the beginning, the aspect of trading, and that it's probabilistic, and there might be losing streaks, there might be drawdowns, and all of that is kind of probabilistic too, because you don't know if you've had 2 losing trades in a row, you don't know that it's not going to be 10. It's very difficult to know. And then what happens is you have the emotional response, which can give you any number of feelings. So all of that has to come and be part of your fulfillment process, which sounds weird because why do you want to be fulfilled feeling frustration? Well, it's because if you want to get the results that expert traders get, they feel those feelings too, but they persist, they're determined. They know intentions equal results. They know they're going to win. It's just a matter of time. Even when the world isn't giving them evidence that they're winning or that they're going to win, they have to have that belief in themselves that no matter what happens, they're going to come out ahead and reach their goal. So that becomes a real test because most folks, I don't want to say that. It's hard for anyone to really know in their life when they've tested their mettle, right? And trading can certainly be one of the first instances in life when you're really going to have to see what you're made of. And so, as I like to say, you have results or you have excuses. When people haven't felt failure and had to persist through that, if they didn't have to try out for a sports team and run the risk of getting cut, which is very public, if they hadn't had to compete in some type of any aspect of life where the results, were public or at least well known, it can be very challenging for them. And it can put you in a spot where you really never go for it. Because if you go for it, as I mentioned once before, some people deliberately sabotage good trades because the outcome is predictable. Whereas sitting on winners or taking risk home overnight deals with a certain level of emotional intelligence that's necessary for the unpredictable aspect of taking trades home overnight or over the weekend, for example. And they'd rather know failure because it's predictable, right, than deal with the uncertainty because it doesn't feel good in their bodies. They don't like feeling like they're not in control. So one of the best things that I ever did was surrender to that. I don't necessarily need to be in control the way a shorter term trader would need control. Now, admittedly, in markets like this that are make it and take it markets, the people who are short term and have that skill or have that ability can do very, very well. Where I have, lots of false starts because of my trading style and for the fact that there's not a lot of follow through. There's these sharp moves, but I'm deliberately much smaller on my entry. I don't put my optimum position size on all at once. So when people were catching short squeezes in Carvana, I wasn't fully loaded because the markets moved too fast. We made money. We did that with Crocs. If you look at the Brian Shannon video, any of that stuff, but that's life on life's terms. I don't get it to sit and bellyache because there are plenty of other trades where I got in with my position size and, I got knocked out with small losses, paper cuts. So to wrap it up, I think fulfillment for me just means that I'm comfortable being me. I'm comfortable feeling all my feelings. I know that my feelings aren't going to sabotage my trading and cause me to adjust my stops or get frustrated and trade bigger when I have no business doing so, or doing all those things that most traders would consider pratfalls. I did them in varying degrees when I was just starting out, and then you just learn that trying to do that doesn't really pay, and you have to go through it yourself. But again, at least I'm consistent. There is no course that's going to teach you that. It's experiential. Another problem with trying to become a successful trader is that you can't paper trade your way to financial freedom. You actually have to do it. So if you think you can kind of jump the gun or cut the corner or do something in a gray area or lose your discipline or adjust your stop lower or not put on a trade that you should be in, you get to see the results of that after the fact. And then you can conjugate your behavior with how you feel about missing out or doing something that was not in your best interest. So the fulfillment for me these days is more just saying, like, I know who I am, which is the asset number one, is personal knowledge, self-awareness, emotional intelligence, knowing what I can execute, and sticking with that. And then, yes, as necessary, making modifications, but I'm at a different stage than many of you. So I get to experiment and understand that it's experimentation because I already have several things that I know how to do very, very well. And I wish all that for you too. But again, the best teacher is you actually doing it. There's really no way around it. You can't read it in a book and try to understand it intellectually. All right? Anyway, folks, as always, I appreciate you. Thanks for all the comments and the emails. And I know a few of you have written in about the mastermind and the group and what's the difference and all of that. I'm like the world's worst marketer. I'm not necessarily looking to grow that stuff because I don't find that, I don't necessarily need the money. I like the group the way it is. If someone can join it and add to it, then that's a good thing. And so I'll talk a little bit more about that tomorrow, but I don't want to blather on about it because that doesn't necessarily help those of you who are here for looking more for the self-awareness stuff around trading that we talk about all the time. But anyway, I appreciate you all being here, and I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, everybody, thanks for being here. Please take a minute, like and subscribe to the show. You could also leave a comment. I don't have all the answers, so it's good to get some feedback. Also, if you would like to support the show, check out the links below. You can get the free audiobook of The Inner Voice of Trading, and also information about the course that I teach with Victor Sperandio. Thanks for being here, folks. I'll see you tomorrow.